I love being a Catholic. I love being a priest. I love being a Chamorro, and I really do.
The 4th of September 2006 was a day of great rejoicing at the Dulce Nombre de Maria Cathedral Basilica. 4 sons of Guam were formally invested with the title Monsignor. Named prelates of honor were the Very Reverend Brigido Untalan Arroyo and the Very Reverend David Ignacio Arceo Quirigua. Elevated to chaplains to His Holiness were the Very Reverend David Cruz Quirigua and the Very Reverend James Leon Guerrero Beneventi. Together, they joined an elite yet unbroken line of Chamorro Monsignori, dating back to the first Chamorro priest, Monsignor Jose Torres Palomo.
I love what I'm doing, and I feel that I have a part in bringing about the presence of God through His Son, Jesus Christ, on the altar and off the altar.
At the height of the colonial expedition, different congregations of friars accompanied the Spanish fleet that traveled to Guam. But it was the Jesuit Diego Luis de San Vitores who successfully established a mission in Hagåtña, where he was regarded by Chamorros as Magaspale, or Great Priest.
Catholicism becomes such a major part of the indigenous identity that they become, I always refer to it as 2 halves of the same whole.
In 2 centuries of Spanish rule, only one indigenous Chamorro was ordained into the priesthood, Jose Bernardo Torres Palomo, a native of Hagåtña who completed his priestly studies at the San Carlos Seminary in Cebu. And for a crucial moment in history, the only Chamorro priest found himself the lone pastor of the entire church in the Marianas.
1901, there were no missionaries on Guam. The last Spanish missionaries had been exiled by the American Naval Administration. The one and only and the first Chamorro native priest was a diocesan, Father Jose Bernardo Palomo y Torres. He was all alone, and he was in his 60s already, and he had to care for 12,000 Chamorros on the entire island.
Help came in the form of Spanish Capuchins who had been working in neighboring islands.
It was the Spanish Capuchins who told the Chamorros, stop praying in Spanish. And it's the Spanish Capuchins that started to print novenas and songbooks and other Catholic books in Chamorro. So they had a lot to do with the preservation and strengthening of the Chamorro identity on Guam when you had an American naval administration on the other side.
As the church became more indigenized, a line of Chamorro-born priests slowly emerged, with a remarkable number elevated to the esteemed rank of Monsignor, including the Very Reverend Jose Palomo, Oscar Calvo, Felixberto Flores, Jose Leon Guerrero, Zuilo Camacho, Tomas Camacho, and Vicente Martinez. In 1911, Pope Pius X separated Guam from the rest of the Northern Marianas and elevated it to an apostolic vicariate. The first bishop was Francisco Javier Villa y Mateu, followed by a succession of pastors from the Capuchin Order of Friars Minor. After World War II, an American bishop was appointed, Capuchin Apollinaris William Baumgartner, who faced the daunting task of rebuilding a war-torn church. In 1955, he ordered the construction of a permanent cathedral, which he envisioned to be a true gathering place for the people of God on Guam. It was in this same cathedral that the very first Chamorro bishop was ordained in 1970, Bishop Felixberto Camacho Flores. Flores later became the first Chamorro archbishop after Guam was elevated into a metropolitan archdiocese in 1984. Today, the church on Guam has been entrusted in the hands of another Chamorro pastor, His Excellency Anthony Sablan Apuran, who was appointed Metropolitan Archbishop in 1986. Apuran is widely acknowledged as one of the most influential figures in Guam today, and an outspoken defender of the Catholic faith when its values are threatened by secular affairs. He has stood unflinching against contemporary issues on social injustice, abortion, casino gambling, capital punishment, and other crucial themes that require a maturity and deepening of faith.
We are challenged to see that perhaps man can be less dependent on God and more dependent on man or material things. And so the challenge of the church is to try to continue to meet those demands, to continue to remind the people, the faithful, the Catholics for this matter, that, we still need to be rooted in God. We cannot snuff God out of our lives. We need God.
Up next, questions of faith.
If they feel shortchanged by their faith, it's because they themselves haven't put the investment in. You get out of your religion what you put into your religion.
Visions of hope.
Being the Christian that you are called to be by Christ and living out those values is perhaps what keeps me going with regard to being a Catholic in our small island.
Expressions of love.
Standing alone, I'm nothing. I cannot do anything by myself. That this is only true God. God is my strength. Without God, I'm nothing.
What is it to be truly Catholic and fully Chamorro in these changing times?
The people also need to contribute toward that evolvement and development of the appreciation of our nature, our culture, even within the context of church and as a lived church in today's world.
All these in the second half of A Golden Harvest, 50 years of grace, joy, and gratitude, a celebration of the Golden Jubilee of the Dulce Nombre de Maria Cathedral Basilica.